All right, we are live. We are live. We are live here on YouTube. It is me and the beautiful Danielle Desiree back with another um, fun-filled time of
Yeah.
conversation between the two of us. As I tell you all the time, these conversations are just me and her being me and her.
Hey,
So,
Evelyn.
hi, Evelyn. So, today we have a really juicy topic that is very near to both of our hearts because we're going through it, and that is peri-menopause.
Ugh.
that
AKA
uh,
the second puberty.
this is a rite of passage that women go through when they reach a certain point in their lives. Different women go through it at different times in their lives, because I don't think they can truly pinpoint age wise, because there are some women who actually begin perimenopause in their 30s, so it's not just when you hit your 40s or your 50s. So it has a lot to do with your genes, the chemistry in your body, has a lot to do with, your parts. So like for me, I had a partial hysterectomy back in 2017, and I was warned that having that would thrust me into early menopause. And so far, I had been dipping and dodging and missing it. And I was like, ooh, can't catch me. You won't catch me. And then the bitch caught me.
Tag, you're it.
She's like, nope, it's time. Let's do this. And I'm like, I don't want to. So that's what we're going to be talking about, perimenopause.
And speaking of, I think I actually started in my 30s. I would say it's been a slow transition for me. But if I start looking at all the different symptoms, because there is no major list of symptoms, right? You have to start doing your own research and piecing it together and understanding brain fog is one of them. Changes in acne is another one of them.
Yes. Yes.
Not being able to sleep, hot flashes, weight
Come on.
gain, moodiness. It is it's no joke. Somebody coined it as like the second puberty. And I was like, it actually is, because your body is not how you know it. And things are constantly changing. One minute you're fine, the next minute you're crying, the next minute you're ready to stab somebody in the face with
Yes.
forks. Like it just, or toothpicks, whatever floats your boat.
Whatever, whatever's closest to you.
But they don't talk about all the different things that, and I'm just only naming a few without even getting into like the actual biological changes of like uh, vaginal dryness, or the fact that estrogen helps muscle pliability, and why all of a sudden when we're in our 40s and up, all of a sudden we start developing rotator cuff issues. And it's like, well, all I did, oh, I got frozen shoulder. I reached for my purse. You know why? Because you don't have the estrogen anymore that you were making and that your body used and adapted to, going, this is how much I have. I'm going to act like I got it forever. And
Exactly.
your body starts falling apart in ways that you don't realize, that are all related to perimenopause.
Yeah.
It's not just the longer periods or the shorter periods, or a period on, a period off, or a few months. We are talking about your life being upended. You do not recognize it anymore,
At
and
all.
nothing's cooperating.
No,
Like,
at
yeah,
all.
at
At
all.
all. And, you also have itchy skin. Like all of a sudden you just start having to this scratch fest. Like one day I was like, dear God, I have taken a shower, I moisturized, and it really wasn't dry skin. I was just so itchy like all day.
Ear itching is another one.
Yes,
Inside, when your ears start itching
yes,
left and right, that's another one. Where you're like, ugh, and you're just like, what? Nope, that's a symptom. Hmm.
yeah.
As all of you
Ear
are going,
itching.
damn.
And then, go further, issues with anxiety. I've always had issues with anxiety, but ever since I crossed that threshold into perimenopause, my anxiety has been on 100. And it's like I do everything I can. I use my essential oils, I give myself Reiki, I meditate, I go for walks, I do whatever I need to do, and sometimes none of it works. Sometimes none of it works. Sometimes my anxiety is just like, no, I'm gonna be here for a minute, so get comfortable. You know. Um, it also messes with your blood pressure and just everything that menopause does.
Everything. And unfortunately, there is no magic pill. I mean, we can talk about it. Like, I am a big advocator for take care of you.
Yes.
So I say get some HRT if you can get bioidentical HRT, right? So sitting where I sit, I see a lot of women who are perimenopausal, and we've talked about it. And there is this shame from some women of like, oh, I did HRT. And I'm like, you do what you got to do. Like,
Okay.
why are we sitting around miserable? Like, really and truly, I am unfortunately not a candidate for HRT, so I'm doing it all naturally. Great. Whatever it is, all I want is for us to not be miserable. Like, in the end, it's not selling out. Like, my thing is what I'm finding is that doctors are automatically prescribing antidepressants versus hormone replacement therapy. And I'm like, pause, wait a second. Just because I've got some anxiety does not mean I have a serotonin. HRT, Evelyn, is hormone replacement therapy. I am so sorry. I've been doing this bit for probably 10 years of investigating just on myself. But as an acupuncturist for the last 10 years, I've really dived. What's the word?
Die.
Right,
Die.
into right
Yeah.
deeply into understanding what's going on. And I mean, because Lord knows we all see the commercials, and yes, I'm gonna slam on men. We see the commercials for Peyronie's disease. For those of you who do not know what Peyronie's disease, got a crooked penis. Okay, we're worried about crooked penis commercials, but we're not talking about women who have to go through this.
And commercials for ED.
Correct. Like, no matter what, we will always have to go through this. This is part of life. We go through getting a first period, and we will go through getting a last period, and it will happen. And the hormone changes with that, and they don't talk about it enough. They don't.
No.
Um,
No.
and that's why I'm saying, so yes, like, we need to be talking. And I forget that not everybody knows what HRT is, hormone replacement therapy. Uh, and when they're talking about that, like, so I would look at one, you always want to work with a doctor. My first thing is try to see a naturopathic doctor, see an acupuncturist, see an herbalist, somebody. Like, my whole thing is don't just go guessing. We talked about this.
Please.
Right, don't just be like, all right, so I saw some horny goat weed, I'm just gonna start taking that. No, no, no. Work with somebody. My thing, like, get a full hormone panel. If your doctors won't cover it, spend the money. I hate to say it, but this is something you're investing in you. I hate to say spend more money, because I know how tight everything is for everybody right now. We are in a
Right.
space, but is there nothing more important than your health? I understand you got to pay your bills, right? But You can't pay your bills. If you're at home having the worst panic attack of your life and that you cannot,
Mm-hmm.
then what? Then you're
Yep.
sitting there, or that you haven't slept in a week, or you haven't been able to eat, or fill in the blank, because it is very unique to you and you need to make sure that you're doing this correctly. But there is the Dutch test where they can do a whole proper hormone panel, not just like a basic, oh, hey, we'll check your TSH levels. And yet that's your thyroid stimulating hormone. All right. You need to know more about what's going on with your T3, your T4. You also need to know all the different parts of your cycle. It becomes almost very scientific, but it's out there because you need to know. Some people just automatically start throwing estrogen. When you are estrogen dominant, for those of us who don't know, those are the super curvy ladies like us, where we got curves on curves, and that means we are already, it may not necessarily be an estrogen problem that we're having. Could there be
Right.
some estrogen problems? Absolutely. But until you get that blood work done, you don't know. And you need to know what day, if you are getting a period. For those of us who have had hysterectomies or partial hysterectomies, we don't have a period anymore, so it's a little more complicated. But for those
Right.
who are, you need to know where you are in your cycle and what those numbers should look like. Not just like, oh, you're fine.
Yep.
You're fine. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not fine. I am
Right.
not like I'm ready to stab somebody and the next second I'm crying. Like for real. Like it is amazing. You were talking about the anxiety, the amount of sadness that I have felt mixed with the nervous stomach. And I can't tell you what it is. And I
Yeah.
just said to my sister, I was like, man, I've been on something. Like, I know I need to cry, but I can't get there. It is sitting on the precipice of like, I have to have this big emotional release, and it's
Yeah.
not coming. I pulled out all the stops this past weekend. Like, I was like, let's put on This Is Us. Nope, nothing. Maybe a single tear. It would have been perfect for like a movie scene. That single lone crybaby tear, right? Like
Hmm.
but I tried. I mean, like I was flipping through things, just going like, what's gonna make me feel something to get? And it is in this weird space of like the feelings are so overwhelming, yet you cannot connect with them deep enough so that you can
Mm.
process them and work through them. Instead, it puts you in this weird, funky flight, fight, or freeze. And you're just
Hmm.
like, where's
Now,
my ice
see,
cream?
I went through that like last year, like the latter part of last year. I just was like, I could not. But like now, I am like a big sappy sob of emotions. Like I can cry like at the drop of a hat. Like I will start crying and bawling, and I'm like, and I can't tell you why, but I'm like sitting and just crying and like, I told you how I love watching like Chicago Fire and all that kind of stuff. And it'll just something will trigger me, and then I'll just start crying, and I'm like, and I remember I was thinking, I was like, this is ridiculous. This is such fiction. Why am I crying like this? It's like, oh my God, I had to get hold of myself. And it was such an emotional roller coaster. And what it did was it opened the floodgates for all these other emotions in me and things that have been bothering me or that I've been thinking about or that I'm frustrated about. And before I know it, it turns into an angry cry. And I'm angry at stuff. And I'm like, I just want to take this and it comes from nowhere. Peri-menopause. Anybody in the comments feeling the fun of Perry right now?
Right?
God,
Because
it's
Lord
it's
knows
crazy.
I mean, like waking up in the middle of the night and you just can't go back to sleep, and nothing's
That
wrong. Nothing's wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the like stress sleep where you know you like I'm afraid I'm going to oversleep cuz I've got a deadline or I've got a project. It's not any of that.
uh-uh.
Um it's the just I'm sitting wide awake. I'm just awake. And
No
you've
reason.
already like I am all about making sleepy girl mocktails. Like that is my thing right now. Like today I was like, "Oh, it's my Sunday." Like and so I'm like, "Oh, we're going to get tart cherry juice. We got some magnesium capsules we can open up and and yeah, it just it's like okay we're gonna make sure we get a good night's sleep because there are times the other day I was up at 4 a.m. wide awake and I was like oh okay but yet I can't get myself up to get and do other things it's just like I'm awake so yeah so Evelyn you said you turned 35 in September you may not be you may be very lucky my thing I mean like it I think I'm on the younger side at 45. I definitely was thrown into perimenopause. Like I felt it coming over the last, I would say, on and off for 10 years. But then I did have a hyster. I had a partial hysterectomy, so I still have an ovary. But that's the thing. My ovary hitched a ride on the way out with my uterus and was like, yo, I'm not staying here. And so I went and I drastically, when you go from having two functioning ovaries to one, hormones have already dropped in half. And the response was, oh, you still have an ovary. You're not perimenopausal. And I'm
Lies.
like, the hot flashes tell me otherwise. The fact that pillowcase, that word is my brain fog word. I will be talking to a patient and I'm like, let me I'm gonna get you a that thingy. And I'm literally like pointing to a pillow. I'm like, that thingy. I'm gonna get you so you can yeah, so I can needle you. I sound like I'm 5. And I'm just like, yeah. And that's how I can tell I have not taken my herbs. Like if I've missed a few doses of my herbs, I'm like, oh, girl, you can't play around with that. Like you need to. I mean,
Yes.
another a part of this though that's related to it is cortisol,
Yeah.
stress hormones. Because if cortisol is kicking in, and this is something that we're not thinking about, and we should, especially with where we are in with what's going on in the world today, right? You know, Gaza is a hot mess. And yes, I'm saying the words because I believe we need to speak up and say everything. Watching, as painful as it is, I know we are both empaths, and I am forcing myself to watch because I must bear witness. And it is hurting my heart on a level that I cannot even begin to express.
Yeah.
Um, but those things add up and create cortisol. Cortisol gives you that belly fat. It is a stress hormone. If that is unchecked, if there is too much of it, it starts throwing all your other hormones off.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter how you want to tackle it. If you want to see your neighborhood acupuncturist, um, or go see a naturopathic doctor or a chiro who has supplements, but or your neighborhood herbalist, do stuff to get yourself together. There is stuff out there that can help you. Just don't guess. I mean, you go see somebody who knows what they're doing and looks at the whole picture and sees you, because you do want to get, I mean, I am talking because of what the information is. I could talk about it all in Chinese medicine and I can say this or that, and you'd all look at me like I'm crazy, like what you talking about, some spleen qi deficiency and some kidney yin deficiency and some floating yang. You're gonna be like, I What does that have to do with me? And I like to geek out, and I start telling Allison, I'm like, oh my gosh, let me explain this to you now, blah, blah, blah. But basic stuff that we know. If you want to look this up, look up cortisol. And your response, and everybody's response is different. That's the thing. Some
Yes.
people respond with having to sleep. Like Goddess Bliss, I saw that you're constantly tired and sleeping. And I get that, like, that might be somebody that could have been a response, a cortisol response. It could be like, for me, some people, you know how some people stress eat, guilty,
Mm-hmm.
but then there
Guilty.
are people who can't eat as their stress response, and the weight is falling off, not but they're not intending it, and then that's its own problem. But
Yeah.
cortisol will affect your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone, and yes, women, we need testosterone too. Yes, it's predominant in males, and this is why, going back, I know I'm kind of ADHD today. It's really important to know which hormones are off,
Right.
and that you are not just getting estrogen, because if you don't need it and you really need progesterone or you need testosterone, you're not going to know unless you actually see what's missing.
Right.
So
That's true. It's kind of like when I was looking at one of the videos from the herbalist class that I'm in. And, it's great that we all Google things and we're looking things up and we're doing, we're trying to figure these things out naturally. But what people are doing is you're looking up stomach ache. What herbs help me with the stomach ache? Well, it's the different kind of stomach ache because some herbs don't work well for all things. So is it a gassy stomach ache, or is it like a pain, shooting stomach ache? Is it, you know,
a cold
anything?
stomach ache.
Yeah,
Does
like
your stomach feel cold?
right. It could be anything. So it's the same thing with us as far as going through perimenopause and menopause. I agree wholeheartedly with Danielle. See someone who is an expert. Get your blood work done. Get your hormones checked. Um, because you know it's unfortunate, but we do have to advocate for ourselves. We do,
Absolutely.
and because our doctors, a lot of them, ugh, I advocate for us to go to the doctor because we do need the doctor. We do need Western medicine. But we also can partake of natural medicine. Okay,
Right.
there, I said it. Now, going back to the doctor, a lot of them have this tendency to not really listen to their patients and not really want to heal the problem, just keep giving you medication that may or may not really work. I say all that to say this. When I was admitted, was that last year or the year before?
Yeah.
It was last year.
Last
Last January, somewhere early
yeah.
in the year.
Because I was going to say about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. When I was admitted, I believe that was me getting the understanding that I was going through perimenopause. And I say that because everything that was aggravating me had everything to do with my anxiety, had nothing to do with my heart. They ran test after test after test. There is nothing wrong with my heart. I do have high blood pressure, but I mean, I've gone through so many invasive tests, and I'm glad because I wanted to get to the bottom of it.
Yes.
But after all of that, it took me to do my own research based off of all the testing and blood work that has been done for me to come to the conclusion myself that what's really bothering me is my anxiety. and my anxiety is being peaked because of my hormonal imbalance of perimenopause. So we have to advocate for ourselves. So I have a new doctor and I'm going to see her soon. She's this beautiful Pakistani woman. She's so adorable, and like I'm excited to meet with her because she's like really listening to me and everything. So I we'll see how that goes. Um, but it's you really have to do that homework of looking for that right doctor. Don't be afraid to switch doctors. If your
No.
doctor is not listening to you, I don't care if you've been going to that person since you were 5 years old. Go to another doctor. Go to find you another doctor who will listen to you, who will take what you're saying and will work with you and say, like if I say, hey, I really want things more on a natural side, if possible, or whatever, I want a doctor that's going to comply with that and not look at me like I have two spinning heads just because I want to take herbs.
Right. Or write you off and just throw their hands up in the air and say, I'm done with you. Because unfortunately, that
Yes.
is something that happens quite a bit. There's some good doctors out there, but there's some doctors out there that, just they got through med school and they're tired.
Yeah.
And they aren't looking anymore because they did the hard work, right? They
Right.
got through med school and their residency and all that stuff, and like I said, I'm not there's some good ones out there, but that they're just like, yo, I'm here to fill prescriptions, or they're burnt out because they found out they're not doing as much helping as they thought. And
Yeah.
it's, like we can all go through that. And I think there's this thing. So it's learning to say, hey, I need some help.
Yes.
And you are, remember, it's just like job interviews. Just because you're interviewing for the job, you're also interviewing you're interviewing the employer. They may be
Yes.
interviewing you to see if you're a good fit for them, but you are supposed to be interviewing them to see if they're a
Hmm.
good fit for you. We can
Yes.
sell ourselves six way to Sunday when we need to, right? We can be like, I'll sing, dance, whatever you need me if I need a job. But what
Right.
but same with, like you have to treat looking at doctors like, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're in the emergency room, I'm not quizzing anybody. I'm be like, yo, help me out. Whatever's going on, right? Like, because you
Right.
don't want to ignore things either. It is better to
No.
get something checked on and then figuring out what the approach is, because you either A, have a diagnosis, or you got nothing. For those people who are freaked out going, I went to the doctor, they found nothing, nothing's wrong. Okay, get yourself someone who practices traditional and holistic medicines. Okay, like for real, get somebody then, because if you've got the tests, I just had this conversation with somebody who was having palpitations, and they got heart monitor, and with the heart monitor they had it on for however long the doctor did, and she came back and was like, yep, nothing's there. And I was and this person was very disappointed that nothing showed up. And I was like, actually, that's great, because it means we can treat it psycho-emotionally, and that's not a bad thing. It's going, there is no AFib, there is no VPIB, there is no throwing PVCs. You are, and I know I'm throwing a bunch of different lingo around. We're not even, because that's not our show. I'm just giving it because people come to me with these diagnoses of, I have this. My goal is to look at the whole body, not the diagnosis. And that's what you need to find out. There may be a diagnosis in there, But when you're looking at the whole body, yes, it's great information if you need to know how it manifests. But like for the instance of the really bad rap type 2 diabetes got, it was taught to me as type 1. Oh, not your fault. You've got juvenile diabetes. You don't make enough insulin. Not your fault. You just have a deficiency. But if you've got type 2, it means crap ass diet. No, you just make too much. And that, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, but it became
Mm-hmm.
this, it was taught to me as crap ass diet. That's what type 2
Right.
is. But then you got people out there who are athletes who got type 2 diabetes, and no, they don't have a crap ass diet. So it's those kind of things going like, let's debunk. So it doesn't matter what the diagnosis is.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking at what's off with your body and fixing it.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, that's goddess bliss. That is unfortunate that there are a lot of holistic practitioners that don't take medical insurance, and a lot of times they can't take it because a lot of medical insurance does not honor
No,
holistic practitioners.
no, it's very complicated. It's, I mean, even
It's
as an
very.
acupuncturist, it's very interesting to see how insurance will say, hey, we'll pay for an acupuncture session with a chiropractor or with an MD, but we won't
Yep.
actually pay the acupuncturist.
Yep.
And it also comes down to what your insurance company provides. I literally had somebody, two patients years ago who had the exact same insurance but chose different tiers. You know, there's good, better, and best. I would not put our insurance at good, better, and best, but it's more like critical only. Like, and then meh, and then okay. Somebody, one of them had the okay, and it covered some acupuncture.
Yeah.
Not everything, but some of it. While the other person, they went for the meh, and it covered absolutely zero.
Mm,
It's still too up and run by people. It's run by corporations, not run by people who actually understand what medical needs are.
right. Yeah.
So it's a tricky game. Um, but I will say it really is important to invest that money, even if insurance doesn't cover it. I really, the more I used to think all the time, like, here I go. I remember 23 years ago, something like that, was my first time to New Orleans. And I was willing, and I was broke, right? I'm 23, 24, something, 23 years old, something like 22. And I'm going to New Orleans. I got a baby at home. I'm in school, like trying to get stuff done. But I was willing to spend 100 and something dollars at that age on a meal for the experience. And something made me stop because as I've gone on this journey of self-care and figuring out how to honor myself. And it was like, if I'm willing to spend $100 on a meal, I'm only eating once, one time. Spending the
Mm-hmm.
money on acupuncture, massage, blood tests, gut tests, all those things. I know some people be like, must be nice. No, I want my body to function at its best because I'm tired of feeling like garbage.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is an investment. It is sad that our healthcare in this country is the way that it is, because it's really all about the Benjamins, you know, And going back to what you were saying, a lot of people who have become doctors or even nurses do lose heart in that, because it's like, I really want to help my patients, but because of insurance stuff and how incredibly expensive some things are that people really, really need, the healthcare industry, they lose that fire, that fervor, that I really want to help people, because they feel defeated. You
Yeah.
know, like I can't do what I would really love to do. And what it all comes down to is in our healthcare here in the United States, it is about keeping you sick so that you can keep feeding the machine. But once we all come into the knowledge of how we can use that Western medicine to get the information we need so that we can go more holistic, then that will bring us to where things kind of balance out for us, hopefully. Because, like I said, we still need Western medicine, we still need hospitals, we still got to have somewhere to go, y'all. We can't just throw all this
Right.
away.
Right. Hey, there are very MRIs are there for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. CT
Colonoscopies.
scans, all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
very necessary, because if you get into a car accident, you're gonna need like a CT or MRI to determine if something is broken or not, because x-rays don't show everything,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right.
um but it's just, now it's more of us coming to the understanding that we have to make the conscious decisions of how we are going to treat our temples, treat our bodies. Are we going to honor ourselves with self-care? And maybe you can't afford to always get a massage. Maybe that's not in your financial reach right now. But there are other things that you can do to get yourself, relaxed, grounded, make you feel good, that might not be that much of an investment for you. It's really coming down to, and I know we've kind of gotten away from perimenopause, but it's actually not. It's finding the things to help you feel better in your body, to make you feel
Yes.
more at home in your body. Because that's something that I'm striving for. Is I just want to feel better in my body. I just want to feel more at home within myself. That's what it all comes down to. Yes, I want my blood pressure to be down where I don't have to take medication anymore. But I'm
Right.
willing to do the work so that that change can happen for me. Um, so yeah, that's the thing. Even when we talk about perimenopause, I mean, again, sometimes some of them symptoms we're not gonna be able to. It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the midst of it, I just say take a deep breath, drink your water, and just do what you can do, and give yourself grace.
Right.
God, give yourself grace.
Absolutely. And know your limits. And I'm gonna
Hmm.
say that because we have this tendency, as women, and particularly black women, to bend at those boundaries, taking care of our families, taking care of whoever. But let me tell you, when you are perimenopausal and you about to lose your shit, God help anybody and everybody around you, because there is no stopping it once it starts. Like that's
I
the
know
thing.
that's
It's not it really is like a second puberty where it is like, think about you on your worst days when you were 13 or 14, when you're bleeding through pads and you haven't learned a tampon yet. I mean, like all those crazy things, not knowing, and then your mom says hi to you, and you're just like, what?
right.
And then the
I know.
next, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it literally, and then you're horrified later, right? And then you're horrified as you're like, damn, and of course, at first you're like, well, I don't do anything. I'm just stomping around. And
Right.
then later it's like, did your mama really deserve that? Or did your dad or your little brother or little sister or even older, whoever, did the family dog need that? No. But
Right.
it's happening perimenopause, right? There are where you're just like, like I have
Yes.
learned, and that's where I say know your limits, and that's where you give yourself grace. Because I can say I can't even tell you what put me in a foul mood. Tuesday I was going to drum lessons and I was suddenly in a foul mood and I got through drum lessons okay, but I hightailed it out of there. I did not socialize. I was like, see y'all, because I was like, I'm going to vomit on somebody in a way that has nothing to do with them, has nothing to do, you know what I'm saying? So yes, give
Hmm.
yourself grace, but no, like if you know that you are in sometimes we don't know it's happening until it happens, right? Like
Right.
the sudden crying or all that. But if you feel like, oh shit, I'm in the they can suck a bag, they can suck a bag, then do something. It's okay. It's okay to be like, you know what? My ass is going to bed. Bye. Like, I mean, I was obligated. I could have just paid my instructor the money and said, I'm not coming. And for me, I'm not paying if I don't like if I'm not getting in the service right now. Like I wish, I mean, like, yeah, if I could have done it and I would have done it because that's my own policy with people seeing
Right.
me. You cancel less than 24 hours, you're paying for it. Unless you're in the hospital, you're paying for it. Like,
Right.
but it was I gotta get out of here now before I scream at somebody that has nothing to do with them. And sure enough, I've gotten like texts over the couple days. You doing okay? Yep, I'm fine. like like I'm just going through something. Like and it's really hard to explain because you want to say I got this. Like it's just
Yeah.
hormones. I've been living with this for the last 30 plus years and it is tough. It is so
It
tough.
is.
It
It's
is
so
so,
tough. It's
I'm
so.
like I'm like let me mind my business. I
Yeah,
just
for real.
can I just be happy for like more than 30 seconds? Like just not like a little roller coaster. Can I get
But
like
you
a
know,
full couple days?
what we have to do is just be intentional of when we do have those little moments of happiness and joy, milk them.
Take
Milk
that
them
mental
as,
picture.
as long as you can.
Yeah,
Because, when the pendulum swings the other way and it's time for a mood swing,
right. And be
you
like,
know, but that's
'cause
when I've like, okay, let me see if I can find something to laugh at. Right? Let me get on,
right?
find something on television that can make me laugh. Let me get on, not too much on social media is really making me laugh that much. I'll be really
No.
honest, as of late. But I'll just try to find something that will just make me laugh. And that sometimes does help, you know. Um, but just anything that I can just have something where I can just laugh and just feel just like silly joy just for a little while. Um, yeah, laugh often
Yeah.
because the other, minutes of the day,
Options.
you're just trying not to murk nobody.
See, and I'm like, murder is like too good. I'd rather take toothpicks and stick them up their nails. Like, because that would
Right.
entertain me way more and be like, yes, yes, you deserve that.
And I don't like the rapper Mystical because he is a terrible. misogynistic rapist. But he did do a freestyle, and in there he said, "If you ever see me in the woods fighting with a bear, help the bear." The way I feel sometimes, I feel like that. If you see me in the woods fighting with a bear, you better help the bear because this
Right,
perimenopause is
because
making
we're
me.
choosing the bear. Because we've already all decided we're choosing the bear. So if we are now
Yes,
fighting with the bear, go help the bear because God
right.
help that bear. God help that bear.
Yes,
Ooh,
yes, help the bear by
help the
all
bear.
means. Cause like, ooh, it gets critical. Bliss, she
It
said
sure
that
does.
part,
Mm,
child.
right?
But
It's
it's
like, mm-mm. It's the same thing
it's a
like when you
trip.
see us running.
Yeah, for real,
Run.
for real. It's a trip. But I tell you, as much as we go through as women and as Black women, I
Yeah.
wouldn't trade being a Black woman for nothing in the world. I love being a Black woman. I love it.
Yeah.
I love being a woman, because it's something, it's special about us. You know what I'm saying? It's
There
the
is.
it's the connections that we have. It's the intuition, it's the softness, the nurturing. Now, I'm not saying every woman is like this, but it's just womanhood. It's just a beautiful thing to me. Um, it's not soft and delicate. It's actually very strong and mighty. There's
Yes.
the warrior in us. We have the warrior, we have the nurturer, we have the bitch, we have all these parts encompassing us as women. And I am at this grown age in my last year in my 40s. I am embracing more and more that this journey of womanhood, as complicated as it can be, as tricky as it can be, as fucked up as some parts of it are, I still love being a woman. I love it. I love being a woman. I'm embracing that part so much more and more as I get older. Some people might not, but I do. I love being a woman.
It depends on the day for me, if I'm being honest. It depends on the day because sometimes I seriously wish I could be walking around with a penis at times just so I could get away with the audacity
Mm.
that I mean I
Well,
really
now hold on now,
but
because there's some there are some women with some mighty audacity,
true, true,
and it's
true.
because of their privilege, and we're gonna leave it at
Absolutely.
that.
I mean, I would
But
only
I
want
get
to
what
do
you're
it.
saying.
I was gonna say maybe I only want to do for like an hour because in the end I still want to be a woman. In the end, I still love where I am. Um, but yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Even with multiple puberties.
yeah, for real.
For real, for real.
Yeah,
So does that feel like
a close the
yeah,
conversation.
then it's like, yeah, being a woman, yeah, it can suck, but it's really all worth it. It really
Yeah.
is. It
I mean,
it
think of
really
the beautiful things about. There are beautiful things about being a woman, because there are things that we can do that men just can't do.
we create life. We
Yeah,
literally are portals. We are walking, talking portals.
yeah.
We are the gateways. And that is what is so beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you all are enjoying these conversations. We have gotten some comments. One that we got from last week. One of my students, she was like, I'm really enjoying these conversations. They are just like, they're really good. So I think, we're on to something, Danielle. I think we're on to,
Hey, yeah, we
yeah,
good.
drop us comments. Let us know how you're loving the conversations. We're going to keep them coming until Spirit tells us to stop.
Right? Wait, because there's always something to say.
Girl, especially between me and you.
Right?
Between me and you, it's always something to say. But you
Always.
all, we love you. Have a wonderful evening. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves, please. Do some self care. Drink your water. Hi, Goddess Tonya. She's the one that gave us the great compliment.
Oh, thank
So my
you.
nurses speak here. So yeah, have a good night. We love you. Peace, blessings, all that. Bye.